Hi friends, do you have the Woobles kit but you're confused about the extreme first step? Like what is going on here exactly and where do I start and how do I know? Well, your Woobles kit will come with a pre-stitched first round. Okay, so if you just pull this out of the middle of your little ball from your Woobles kit. This is not sponsored, by the way, and I'm not going to give you the whole pattern because it does not belong to me. And you can get Woobles also at Joann Fabric with a coupon. So I know they're expensive, but they're so fun. So this is what it looks like. Now, some people might be confused and think that we put the hook right in here in this little stitch, but you can see here they actually tied it so that it wouldn't come undone during the shipping process. So when you get your little piece here, the orange stitch marker represents the first stitch of the round. And then I believe, because I've done several Woobles and I've never seen any reference to the green stitch markers, that the green stitch markers are just teaching you where to put the hook in the next two subsequent stitches, like so that you can see that, okay, here's a stitch and here's a stitch. So if you know where those stitches are, you can safely remove the green at any time. The orange one is going to stay through your entire piece until it tells you to take it out or until you're done. So this one will stay and we will move it every time we stitch in it. So what's going to happen is you have this cut tail and we're going to leave it and pretend it's not there. And this little loopy with the knot, we're just going to pull that out a little bit. And this is super snug, I've noticed. So we're just going to pull on the long piece of yarn that's attached to the ball until this comes out. And I actually had to give it some effort and I don't want to rip it. So I'm going to just go ahead and pry it a little bit. We're just pulling out the knot. And I don't want to pull out the next stitch, and I did. So if you do that and you accidentally pulled out the stitch and it looks like this, then we need to get this loop, this strand that's attached to the ball, back through those stitches. So if you do this and you get confused, what you'll do is you'll insert your hook in the top loop and then the bottom loop. And then you'll take this long strand that's attached to the ball and you will grab it with your hook like this and you'll pull it through and that finishes that stitch again. So here we are. So this is where you will now begin. So when I had pulled out that knot, if I had pulled it out to the right place, it would have looked like this, okay? But I pulled too far. So then to finish the stitch, that's the process you need to do. Okay, so if we count stitches together, you'll see here on the pattern, it'll say round 1, start 6 single crochet in a magic loop, 6. So 6 is how many total you have at the end of round 1. So if you go by the pre-made little starter, you have 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitch, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so if you start from here, round 1 is already done for you and you have 6 stitches that started in a magic loop. If you are if you are using the pre-made piece, you're actually going to start with round 2. Okay, but if you pulled all of this out, then you would have to start with round 1. Like if you accidentally pulled all of this out and just had a plain strand of yarn, you're going to have to start over with a magic loop and start 6 single crochets. And I can show you that too as well if you want. Okay, so we have round 1 done and now it's time to go ahead and skip to round 2 and it says 6 increases and then your parentheses here means at the end you'll have a total of 12. So if I have 6 stitches and I'm adding 6 more, I'm doing increases 6 times, I'll have 12. So what that means is every time you increase, INC, you're placing 2 single crochet in the same stitch. Now, Woobles has really great videos, but I don't know if they show this extreme beginner. So I'm taking out the first stitch marker here, the orange one, but that's where my hook is going to go. So now I'm going to hold the yarn in my hand and I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch I'm going to work over my tail, but that's secondarily important. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Now I need to put the stitch marker back in to that spot, that new spot, because I just replaced the old orange stitch and this is the new orange stitch. So now this is the new stitch number 1 of the next round. This is the stitch number 1 of round 2. So when it says increase, do 6 increases. So I only have the first part of that stitch. Now I'm putting a second stitch in that same exact spot, and now that counts as 1 increase. So I had 2 stitches. I had 1, I increased by 1. I now have 2 stitches in the same spot, and the first one of that becomes the first stitch of the next round, or of the round. So we keep this orange one in play. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take out the green and put that aside. I actually don't need that anymore. It's just telling me where I'm going to place the next stitch. And because I'm doing 6 increases, we're going to single crochet and increase by 1 by putting another stitch in the same exact hole, the same exact stitch. So now I have 2 increases, 1, 2, 3, 4, for a total of 4 stitches. Now the green one again shows you where the next stitch goes. This is just your like guardrail along the highway to make sure you're on the right path. Okay, and so now that it illuminates where we need to go, we can take it out. So another increase would be to single crochet and in the same stitch, single crochet again. Okay, do you need to know the single crochet even slower? Let's do that real quick, and then I'll show you how to count rows, or rounds rather. So I'm inserting my hook. I'm yarning over the hook, so the yarn comes over the top of the hook here. Then I'm pulling up a loop through the fabric. Then again, I'm yarning over, so the yarn is over the hook, and I'm pulling it through both loops on the hook. That is a single crochet, and that is 1 complete stitch. So if we're doing an increase, we need to do the same thing in the same exact spot where we had 1 stitch, now we have 2. So we're increasing by 1, okay? Okay, so we will go all the way around, increasing a total of 6 times. So that means we have 6 increases, and when we only had 6 to begin with, when you add 6 increases, you end up with 12, okay? All right, so let's count stitches and count rows. I know I'm at the end of my row because remember the orange marked the first stitch of the row. So we can count stitches, and I like to pull up a little bit of a loop here so I don't lose it, but this is really great grippy yarn, so it's not going to slide out easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. The 12th stitch is actually the first one of that round that we started. So we now have 2 rounds and we have 12 stitches on round 2. So we are on track. So I want to do one more round with you to explain, but we can see that we have 2 rounds because I count rounds at the end of the round. So the orange is indicating the beginning of the round over here. When I finish rounds, I like to count over here on this upper corner of the piece. So this inner circle would be round 1. This outer circle is round 2, okay? If you count this way toward the first stitch, sometimes you can get confused, especially because we're working in a spiral, which means we're not joining, we're just going all the way around. That's why we need a stitch marker to keep track for us. Okay, round 3. Round 3 says to single crochet and then increase, which means 2 single crochets in the same stitch, a total of 6 times. So this bracketed section gets repeated 6 times. So we're increasing 6 times. So when you add 12 plus 6 increases, you'll have 18 stitches at the end. So we're going to single crochet and then place 2 in the next stitch, and we'll do that 6 times for a total of 18. We know our instructions are correct because the single crochet takes up 1 stitch. This increase, while we're putting 2 stitches in one, you only need 1 stitch as the stepping stone to put that in. So it only uses 1 stitch. This uses 1 stitch. So that's 2 times 6 is 12. And that's how many stitches we had on the previous round. So we know this instruction is correct. Okay, let's do round 3. So single crochet once and then 2 stitches in the next stitch. Okay, so put my hook back in there, remove my orange first stitch indicator, go ahead and put my first stitch where that orange stitch marker had been, put my orange stitch marker back to indicate the first stitch of this round, then increase, which is 2 single crochets, 1, 2. So we've now done that bracketed section of 1 and 1, 2, the increase, and we've done that 1 time. And we need to do that 6 times around. So here's another single crochet and 2 single crochets in the same stitch to make an increase. We've now done that bracketed section twice. Single crochet, 2 stitches in the next stitch as an increase. We've now done that bracketed section 3 times. 1 and 1, 2. Okay, 1 and 1, 2. One and 1, 2. Okay, so I just wanted to give you the beginner help on how to start a Wooble. This is a very traditional start to a Wooble, but every pattern is different. But I wanted to, well, not a lot of them do start in this similar way, but I wanted to show you how to get started with that little pre-made piece and where to start on your pattern. So this is round 1, 2, and 3, and we now have 18 stitches. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. We do count the stitch marker because that was number 1 of the round. We just counted the stitches we made most recently. I hope that's helpful. I love the Woobles. I'm not sponsored. There's no discount. I know that people can get them at Joann's, but you can get them on the internet. They're a lot of fun. And so I hope you have a relaxing and valuable use of your day. And don't forget to catch me on my live show on the 5-Minute Crochet Podcast most weekday mornings. Take care, everyone. Bye. If you liked this video, here's another one that's similar that you might also enjoy. And here is the last video that was uploaded in case you missed it. Everyone, please like and subscribe.